Oh,
What's up, everybody, and welcome to this episode of Dead Funny Podcast. I am your host, Kelsey, and joining me today is my co-host, JoJo. We
I am
have
here.
no Chris today.
Yeah.
He was supposed to be here, and we've been messaging him for like 20 minutes. And my guess is after his daughter had her surgery, he is just passed out asleep somewhere, recovering himself from the emotional ordeal of everything that he's been through. So we're giving him a night off, and we are just going to chat it up with each other. So, JoJo, thank you for being here, because me just staring at the camera and talking would not be nearly as
I don't see why
interesting.
not.
No,
Find
you're
something.
fun.
Monologue.
No,
Okay.
I couldn't, yeah, me just stare at the camera and silently monologue. Not silently
No,
monologue, that's
silently
not how you
monologue. That's not.
monologue.
Yeah. Right.
That's called thinking, Kelsey.
Just look up. News stories and do like Jay Leno style bad jokes about him.
Oh,
What's
God.
going on?
That implies a lot of like on my feet cleverness that I don't think I have. Like I
Oh,
have it
you
in
are way over it. You're way overselling how clever the old. Yeah. Okay.
You watched a
That's
lot of
fair.
Jay Leno in your time and he didn't really
Yeah.
have it. Is that what you're telling me? Maybe don't say
I
that.
mean, as like an 8-year-old, it seemed okay, but in retrospect, it wasn't necessarily very good.
As someone who's seen and done a lot more since then, you're maybe like, eh.
Yeah. Yeah. I got a bigger uh, comparison pool, I guess.
Now, actually, that brings me to a question that I've been curious about. I know that you
Okay.
have you've been involved with Second City, and you have
Mhm.
taken improv classes and gotten involved in the kind of all of that world, correct?
Yeah, yeah.
So, what was the part of that world, everything related to improv and writing and comedy shows and things? And I realize I'm saying a lot of words, and it's because I don't know what I'm talking about. And if I just keep talking, nobody can
Those
tell.
are all those are all things.
What did you find interesting, compelling? Did you have any natural skills that you found that really helped you in some areas, and what areas did you find challenging? I'm just curious.
So, I mean, I had taken a stand-up comedy class first separately from Second City and really enjoyed that, except there's something in my brain, anxiety-wise, where it's like it's very hard for me to like commit to something written down in a way
Oh.
because I can endlessly edit myself and say, this isn't good enough. I can't. You need to make a decision
Hmm.
beforehand. So when I started doing the improv stuff, it felt way better because I didn't have time. I can't edit it just happens.
So you
And
would
so
do better with like a Saturday Night Live, from what I understand. Like they try to write it, but they continuously edit it up until like the 5 minutes before the show starts, and you're just like, I'm doing my freaking best.
yeah, I
Like,
mean, well, they're reading very strictly off cue cards on that
oh, they
show.
are okay.
Yes. Oh, that's a Lauren Michaels does not want you to improvise
Oh,
and has banned people from the show occasionally who one time Adrian Brody, after doing the movie The Pianist, hosted the show, and the musical guest was Sean Paul, and Adrian Brody came out in like a terrible Rastafarian like hat,
oh
and
God.
no shirt on, had not checked this with anyone beforehand, I think, and was like did a terrible Jamaican accent to introduce Sean Paul, and then he was never invited back. Because
Yeah, because that got real racist real fast.
well, yeah, I mean, but that wasn't the problem necessarily. It was at the time no one cared about that, I guess. But
Oh,
it was just that he was doing something that was not written down.
okay. I did
Yeah.
not know that.
Oh
I
yeah.
I've watched people talk about it, and they talked about trying to know their lines, and their lines were being rewritten all the way up until the show
Well,
started.
that is true. Like it's
Mhm.
being rewritten rapidly, so you have to. That's why you need to like read the cue cards during the sketch and say like, you don't memorize lines on that show in the way you would for another TV show because the lines have changed probably.
So so you have to have some decent comedic timing, because you
Oh
know
yeah.
usually
Yeah.
the theme of the joke, but if you're reading something, you need to be able to know where it's going and put the correct emphasis on it to make it land.
Oh, yeah. I mean, the people on that show have almost universally have a improv background for sure, and then also
Wow.
writing. But like, yeah,
Now, my guess is that isn't true for the celebrity guests that come on and help. Is that
No, not
correct?
necessarily. No.
Huh.
So sometimes you get a host on that show who is very obviously staring at a cue card and reading it in a way that, isn't great. Um, yeah. And
Well,
sometimes you get people who are good at it somehow for some reason,
well,
even when you don't expect it.
as somebody who's hung out with you a lot, your improv is exceptional. You were doing exceptional on topic and like some far back deep cuts, like
Yeah.
well before we had a word for what it was. Just like you got some amazing callbacks, my friend. So
Thanks. It's really nice. Yeah.
I
Yeah.
mean it, I
So
promise.
so yeah, I really once I found that and realized it wasn't, I kind of thought improv was lame if before doing it, and kind of is still, but turns out I like it a lot.
I think, correct me if I'm wrong, my experience with watching people do improv, like the highest heights of improv can be so incredibly funny. They can be so funny even the people that are doing them are just rolling in laughter
Oh,
because it is so clever, and you don't normally get that with a show that's as structured as sometimes they can be, but you end up often with a lot more, you have the potential for a lot more just dead time where people are trying to craft but nothing's coming together with improv than you do with a regular show, does comedy show? Does
that
that feel real to you?
yeah, for sure. And there's just like a lot more. There's a lot of bad improv out there for sure. Like because sort of the business model. I mean, not, like it's business model might not even be the right word to say, but like when you take the classes, like at the end of the class, you got a show, and every class has their own shows, and this you're supposed to like invite your friends to come see you,
Yeah.
and so like unless you're up in the ranks on that stuff, it's a lot of like pity audience you're
Oh.
playing to. Or very committed good friend audience. Like when I was doing it, like a couple of the girls were in like were in a sorority, and their friends would come and were incredibly excited.
Aw.
And it was great because they were a good audience, and there were a bunch of them. But like you can play to a very small group of people
And f
theoretically too.
and feel very good in that scenario. If she
Yes.
took the same material or similar material to an audience that was not as committed to her, it may not have gone as well, is what you're saying, I think.
Yeah. Yeah.
Yeah, FYI, Scott and I intentionally like put aside when we found out you were doing Second City, we're like, we're gonna get invited to a show. We're fucking going. I don't care what day it's on. It could be on a Tuesday. We are driving to
Aw.
Chicago and we will be there. And then we never got invited, and then COVID. So
Yeah.
just letting you know,
So
we will be there.
so the crazy thing about COVID, well, there's a lot of crazy things about COVID,
Yeah.
I guess. But I after doing all the Second City stuff, there's another theater in Chicago, IO, which is like the second biggest comedy theater. And I was doing the course, the whole curriculum there,
Mhm.
and was like 2 levels away from finishing that. And that was going to be like they give you 6 weeks of shows or something on like a big stage, and that was going to be where I was going to like invite people to come see it because that was
Yeah.
going to be a thing. Um, Due to bad financial decisions before the pandemic,
Mhm.
probably, but then also the pandemic, the IO theater no longer exists.
Oh!
so, so I'm not completing that ever because it's not a place anymore.
Shit!
Yeah,
Oh god.
yeah, that's a real bummer. um, so they'll have to. I don't know what the next time there'll be something to invite you to will be. I'll have to figure that out once
Yeah.
things open up again.
Well, when that happens, just let us know. We don't care if it's a Tuesday night. We're gonna make it happen. Just let us know. We will be there.
Okay, all right, good to know.
So, for those of you who don't know, JoJo does because he's been friends with my husband's forever. I married a city boy, and I am from northern Idaho. And there are times that Scott and I talk about things that we learned in high school and whatnot. And we have a few other friends that are from the same area as my husband. And I'll be like, "Oh yeah, do you remember when you guys had to do like bear identification in class? Like,
All right.
what was that like for you?" And he's like, excuse me?
What?
And so it made me realize that there are things that they teach you when surviving in the wild may actually be part of your life because you live in northern freaking Idaho, that
Yeah.
you probably never learned. And my guess is figuring out how to tell the difference between a brown bear, a black bear, and a grizzly bear, and having that as part of the test and like part of your grade to pass was not probably part of your middle school experience.
No, but part of that also sounds really easy. The black bear is the one that has black fur, right?
No,
Do you
you are
know
totally
what?
wrong. Black
What?
bears, brown bears, and grizzlies can be any shade from like almost white all the way down to fully black. So
Not okay.
that information is not accurate.
That's terrible. Why would you call them that then? That's that's intentionally a trick. They want people
Yeah.
who didn't live in Idaho and get these classes to die.
Oh God. Speaking of people dying in bear attacks, my gosh. I know a guy that's actually survived a grizzly bear attack. He was extremely lucky. And do you want to hear that story? I don't want to bore you with it if you're not.
Yes?
Okay. So he is a professional photographer, and I'm not going to use his name because I don't have his permission to do so. But he's a professional photographer, and he lived very close to where I lived, like across the street. And his work is all over the world. You have seen his work. Like, his work is on the back of some planes. Like, you've seen his work. Very well known gentleman. But he was out in, I believe it was Rocky Mountain National Park. And there was a year of like 20 years ago or so where grizzly bears were real bad. And in this particular year, for example, there was a gentleman, oh my God, there's a gentleman from about like somewhere, some large city. I can't remember what it was. I want to say New York, but I don't know if that's true. That was he came to Mountain National Park to see a bear, and he was going to see one. And everybody was just like, this is not the year. Like, there's a grizzly out here that is attacking people, and we don't know where it is, and we need to stop it, but like, do not go looking for a bear. Do not go off the trails. Don't go anywhere you're not supposed to. This grizzly is dangerous. And this guy legitimately said to a bartender, no, I give to the Grizzly National Foundation to protect them so the grizzly bear won't eat me. Yeah. In case you are unaware, the Grizzlies do not get flyers with everybody's name for who donated that they then check against your driver's license to go, oh, you're right, I shouldn't eat you. Have a good day, sir. And they let you take a selfie and then they go on their own merry way. They eat you, and that's actually what happened to that gentleman is they found his body with a grizzly bear standing over the top of it. No joke. So that same year, my neighbor was going to go out and try to find pictures of something, and I can't remember what he was taking pictures of, but he's got his truck, and as he jumps out of his truck to take a picture of this little like varmint of some kind in the field, he looked back, and seems irrelevant, but this literally saved his life. He was wearing like old tennis shoes that he'd had forever. They were kind of falling apart. And he looked back and saw his hiking boots in the back seat, and he was like, "Should I?" And he's like, "You know what? No, I'm just gonna walk just slightly off the trail on to take a picture of this little thing, and then I'll get back in my car. I don't need my hiking boots." That decision saved his life because he's down there, he's taking a picture of these flowers, he's taking a picture of this stuff and all that kind of good stuff. And he stands up and he's starting to put things away, and he hears this little screaming sound and something that is tiny and kind of bear colored, I'll just say it that way, fly past him. And he's like, oh shit. That's a baby bear. And the one thing you never, ever, ever want to do if you would like all of your organs to stay inside your skin is get between mama bear and baby bear. And if you scare baby bear, mom will come kill you. So he realizes this, turns around, and mom is hauling ass at him across a meadow because he just scared her little one and she heard him scream. And he drops all of his gear and runs up a tree because, or like, not doesn't run, but climbs
Yeah.
up a tree as fast as he can. And he's climbing up this tree that is, I believe it's a fir tree, which has a ton of teeny, 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 tiny branches. So the logic here is the bear can't climb up because none of these teeny tiny branches can hold it, right? So he is climbing up this tree so fast. He's actually getting like branches in his ear, in his hair. He's got like twigs in his eyes and in his nose and like in his mouth and everything. Like he's got stuff everywhere because he's trying to get away from this bear that has by now hit and rammed the bottom of the tree that he's in. And he's like, shit. And so he continues climbing, and the bear looks at him, and he's going as fast as he can. And the bear does something that no bear, especially not a grizzly bear, is supposed to be able to do. She starts climbing the tree. She lifts her arms, and she just scoops with her arms, and she just takes all of the branches down with her. And so she's basically butterfly swimming up this tree through all of the branches. And when she kicks them with her legs to get up, she removes them. So as she's climbing, she's actually removing all of the branches down this tree. He is climbing, he's climbing, he's climbing. He's at the point where the top of the tree is so small he can't grip it really well with his hands. Like his hands hit his palms before it actually closes around it. And now the tree's swinging like crazy, so he's having to hold on while this like 1,000-pound bear below him is like again butterflying up this tree. And then she finally hits the point where she can't get any further, and his foot is right there in that little shoe, right? She bites the bottom of his shoe and then lets go of the tree and counts on her weight to drag him out of the tree with her, where he can then kill her. Or she can then kill him, excuse me. So she lets go, and because he wore that old ratty tennis shoe, that came off of his foot. And so she hits the ground, she's got his shoe, and she just keeps ramming the bottom of the tree, and he's flinging around, but he's not letting go. He's like, I've never held into anything the way that I held onto that freaking tree. Like, I know if I go down, I'm dead. She waits there, she paces, she barks at him, because like bears can actually do that. They can make like this deep, like woof kind of noise that they can make. And so she's doing that at him, and she is pissed, and she just wants him dead. And he's like, I'm staying up here. There's no way I am leaving this tree. And so she finally wanders off a little bit, and this tree is right on the side of a hill. So she walks up this hill and off on this kind of little dead tree to get herself eye to eye with him. He's at the top of a gigantic tree. She is eye to eye with him. She's staring him down. She woofs at him and then walks back into the woods. And he's like, I'm not fucking leaving this tree. I'm not fucking leaving this tree. And he stayed up there all night long. And then when the sun started coming up, the next morning, he's like, I can't stay up here forever. Like, I have to get down at some point. And he was watching his car to see if somebody would come up. And at one point, like a car came up alongside his, and he's screaming from the top of this tree, trying to get this person's attention because he wants somebody to alert, like, get a ranger. I can't get out of this tree until I know I'm safe. And nobody heard him. They just pull up, they look around, and they go off. And he's like, I'm going to die. I'm going to get my ass eaten by a bear. So finally, he's like, I have to. And he slinks down to the very bottom where the branches just start, like the branches are gone all the way down the like 3/4 of this tree. And he dangles his legs, and he thinks about it again, and he dangles his legs, and finally he's like, I have to. And so he drops down, and he says, what I had to do is I had to hit the ground running and make it back, grab my camera gear, and get back in my car before she found me. So he hits the ground, and he lands and puts a branch all the way through his foot because he just landed on a bunch of branches.
Oh,
So,
geez.
and then he starts hearing twigs snap behind him.
Oh,
And so he just starts running. He's got a branch the size of his thumb sticking from the bottom of his foot through the top of his foot, right in the middle of his arch. And he is running as hard and as fast as he possibly can, grabs his camera gear in one fell swoop, and gets to his car just as a ranger does. And that was the first time that he saw himself. The bear never showed back up, so he lived, but he had pine needles sticking out of every single orifice of his face. He was scratched to hell all the way down his arms, his face, his shoulders, his neck from, his crazy climb through this freaking fir tree. And scared the hell out of the ranger is the short story on that one. Had to have surgery to repair his foot because that was absolutely like mauled, but it was mauled from the branches that he ran through, not from the bear somehow. So
right.
that was my friend's attack from a grizzly that he miraculously survived.
Fuck.
Yeah.
I don't. I couldn't hold on to a tree that long. Like, that's amazing.
The idea of staying in a tree while this thing is pacing around below you, and like she kept ramming the tree, that's the
Yeah.
terrifying. Like clearly this creature was smart enough to go, I can use my weight to get you out of this tree. I don't have to like get you. I just have to get your foot and take you down with me. Like that's fucking intelligent.
Right. Yeah. It's intelligent enough to like develop a vendetta.
Yes.
That's That's terrifying. Yeah, we don't have that here.
Yeah, and I can see why, because
Yeah.
you don't have a lot of grizzly bears in the Midwest.
No. No, I suppose not. Why
But
not any, I would guess. I don't know.
every now and then you guys do get a mountain lion. So actually,
Oh,
do you know what to do if you see a mountain lion if you're on a walk?
uh, turn around.
No, that's how you die. Don't do that.
Okay, keep walking toward it.
So, mountain lions are kind of like regular cats, where they won't really attack you if you're staring at them. I don't know if you've ever seen any images of zookeepers when they're in big cat um, pens, but sometimes
Mhm.
the like the tiger will start stalking them or something like that, and all the zookeeper has to do is turn around and look at him, and then the tiger's like, "Nope, didn't mean it. Don't know what you're talking about. It wasn't me." Don't know who's doing that. But big cats, you keep eye contact with them and then they scare just like house cats do.
Oh,
So charging at them while screaming will often make them go away, but they're also scared of things that are bigger than them, like almost any other creature. So the thing you're supposed to do is unzip your jacket, lift it over your head, and then scream at them as loud as you can to be like, get the fuck out of my face.
yeah.
And they'll be scared because suddenly you're twice as tall as you just were, and that's really frightening, and they will fuck off. But I do. I also know somebody that was not attacked by a mountain lion, but they were out in the middle of nowhere, Idaho, hunting, and they started hearing sounds behind them and realized that a mother mountain lion was stalking him, and that she had two baby mountain lion that she was teaching how to hunt by stalking him. And so he shot to scare them away because he didn't want to hurt them. Like, they're not doing anything wrong, and they're an essential part of the ecosystem. They're just trying to screw up his day that he
Yeah.
doesn't want. So he shot at them to frighten them off, and then they kept coming back. And after the third time, he's like, "I'm a 4-hour walk from my car. They aren't leaving me alone, and they're not being scared off. I have to do damage because they're going to kill me if I don't. Like, I'm going to stop paying attention, and one of these mountain lions going to kill me." So he did end up like they did end up trying to attack him, and yeah, I guess, yeah, I do know somebody who's been through an attack. Yeah, they did end up trying to
Oh,
attack him, and he had to shoot, I think, at least one of them,
fuck.
and it was not a good day. He was
Yeah,
not happy
yeah,
about that.
I would guess. Oh my god. Yeah. Oh,
But I
we
don't go running even in the Midwest. Like, when I go out to work out, I will not go running because I'm like, no, you don't do that. That's how you get attacked by a mountain lion. Which I once said out loud to my husband, who's like,
get
"No, Kelsey, you're not going to get attacked by a mountain lion. Where did this even come from?"
seems unlikely.
Yeah.
Uh, yeah, we get coyotes. That's kind of the closest to anything dangerous, I guess.
Which, in my book, coyotes are 0% scary unless you are alone in the woods and there's a pack of them, at which point that's frightening, but you can mostly get in a tree to kind of get away from them if there's a tree nearby. But the idea of one on its own in your backyard, like, that's not a scary reality. That's a like
Right. I mean,
they're
that's what we get.
they're
Yeah.
way more scared of you than you are of them, kind of thing, in
Like
general.
a couple months ago, I was out at night walking and just saw one. And was like, oh, that's a coyote. And then looked up on my phone. Is this dangerous?
What did your phone tell you?
No. Like one dude every 10 years gets killed by a coyote or something. I don't remember what the actual number was, but it was a very rare occasion, and it's only because the guy, decides to say, you know, en- engage
Yeah.
purposefully, and say, so
Engaging one or more and, like, intentionally, like, cornering them, they've
yeah.
got big teeth. Don't corner something with big teeth,
No,
period. Like, general rule.
that makes sense. I would not. I would not do that
I met
ever.
someone from India that actually part of their schooling was how to identify poisonous snakes and how to get them out of things and how to tell if they are where they're not supposed to be.
Mm,
And I was like, "Whoa, I definitely didn't get that training, and that sounds way scarier to me than how to deal with a mountain lion, even though I
yeah,
get that they're kind of equal in some ways."
but yeah, well, I don't know. Snake may be more concerning because you can see a scenario in which a snake could get into your house
Yes.
in a way that a mountain lion probably wouldn't.
No. Honestly, if a mountain lion gets into your house, give them the house. Like,
Oh,
they get the
sure.
whole
Yeah.
house at that point. And if anybody's like, what are you afraid of? Leave the doors open. Let them come and go where they want. If somebody tries to go in and steal your stuff, they're gonna have a bad time.
Yeah.
Like,
Good security.
oh God, yeah. I have weird stories because I grew up in the West. My grandmother actually tamed a mountain lion.
How or
So
why?
so what she did is my grandmother grew up in a time when women weren't supposed to do anything fun. We were supposed to stay inside, we were supposed to knit, and we were supposed to know how to crochet, and we were supposed to know how to make babies and food, and that was it. And her brother was the one who was like her family was just like, he's the one who's going to learn how to break horses and do fun things outside. And unfortunately, he just wanted to stay inside and knit and drink tea and be left alone. And she was like, I want to break horses. And so she was always sneaking out of the house to go run through the woods and be free. I
Mhm.
make more sense in context with my grandmother, and you're like, oh yeah, I see where you get that.
Yeah.
But she was out one time and she found a baby mountain lion. She found it just a couple weeks old, like its eyes hadn't even opened yet, kind of thing. Very,
Oh.
very little. And she realized the only way I would be able to find this without dying is if mom was dead somewhere. And so she realized nobody was going to take care of this little thing. So she actually adopted it and she brought it home and she didn't tell her mom because her mom was a very dainty city woman and would not handle having a cat in the house of any kind, let alone one that was going to turn into a mountain lion. So
Yeah.
she hid this cat in her room, in her home, and she was bringing it stuff all like food all the time and caring for it. And this little baby kitten did what this cat's going to do and turned into a very large mountain lion, but it was a pushover. It just wanted to hang out with my grandmother and just wanted to like lay in her bed all day and wait until, somebody brought her food. Unfortunately, one day my great grandmother went in to clean and opened a door and saw a fully grown mountain lion and lost her freaking mind.
That makes sense.
And so slams the door, screams, goes and tries to find my grandmother, because it's clearly my grandmother's fault, and demands like this cat can't stay in my house anymore. And so my grandmother kicks the cat out, but the house that they lived in was right alongside a hill. And so my grandmother managed to sneak in a very long board that could reach between her bedroom window and the hill. And so she'd kick the cat out, and then she would go and she'd put the board up on the hill so the cat would sneak around and then just come in and hang out with her in that way. And then every night she'd kick the cat back out and it would show up like it had just decided, oh hey, can I have breakfast this morning? So her mom was convinced the cat was gone, but the cat was still very much living there. And then she found her again and was like, you cannot have this cat. So, by the way, this cat's name was Tawny, Tawny, and which I absolutely love. So my grandmother, the way to get rid of her was she went to a taxidermist, and the taxidermist was like, this is a totally tame mountain lion, let's just have her in my shop. And this was, do remember, like this was like the 30s or 40s where taxidermy was like cool and it wasn't yet weird. And so
Yeah.
having a taxidermy shop in the West was actually like that you could earn a normal income off of that. And so people would go through this taxidermy shop and lose their goddamn minds when the mountain lion moved.
Yeah.
Well, the
Wow.
cool end of this story is that one day where this was in, I think it was Nevada at the time, uh, was like a whole bunch of old western movie stars at the time like went through this area and would shoot their movies there. And so this old western movie star was walking through this taxidermy shop, and then when the mountain lion moved, he screamed, fell over, knocked a few things over, realized the mountain lion wasn't going to hurt him, and was like, I want that mountain lion, I want that mountain lion, and I want her right now. And he bought Tawny, and then he featured her in all of his movies after that. So there's a mountain lion that is featured and like even credited in movies that my grandmother raised. And I think that's awesome.
That's really cool.
Yeah.
What a strange little thing.
Yeah.
Wow.
Uh, a
Not ready
lot
to
of
be lines.
a lot of my college friends heard this, so when they came to the wedding and I was like, "This is the grandmother that did all of that," they're like, "The legend!" My grandmother's like, "Aw, people like me." was really cute. Did any of your grandparents tame anything interesting or?
No, I don't even. My only my mom's mom was still alive when I was born, and then she died when I was like 2 years old. So never like knew any of my grandparents, and don't really know much about them.
Don't have a lot of stories or
Even
anything?
no, no. I think my dad's parents immigrated here from Russia. And that's all I got. Yeah, I don't know much family history, fortunately.
What's the
Um,
wildest thing you think you could tame?
oh God. So what's something safe? Like a bird?
A bird, a hamster? Yeah.
Like a safe bird, not like a falcon or something, but like uh
A parakeet?
yeah, sure, turtle or something. An owl.
Owls are hella dumb. Those creatures are so stupid.
That's great.
They
I
look
can
beautiful,
work
but
with
they're
that.
so dumb.
That's easier to trick than
I guess, yeah, that's true. I'm
being my
not sure
friend.
they have object permanence. Like, they're real
Uh,
stupid.
I've been told that they're very smart by every media I've ever seen.
Yeah, they look wise because they've got those big ol' eyes and they stare at you like they can see into your soul, but they are not intelligent. Most
Oh,
of them can't solve basic problems that other birds experience. They are just so dumb. I had a guy try to compliment me one time by being like, "You remind me of a wise old owl," and I'm like, "Well, I'm offended."
yeah. I mean, even that's not even if an owl was smart, that's still not even like a great compliment.
This person was not trying to get in my pants, in his defense. He was just trying
Okay,
to be my friend, so it
couldn't be
makes
a
it
wise
less
young
weird, I
owl
guess.
then. Yeah. Oh no, still not great. Did it work? Are you friends?
Yes, I am
You
still
still
friends with
friends?
Wise Old Owl Man. Yes.
Okay. Well, shit. Then I guess I'm wrong, and it's a sick strategy.
It worked. It worked. I was like, I know what you're going for. I haven't yet told him that owls are actually incredibly dumb, but I don't want to. If I know the moment that I do, he'll feel really bad because he knows that I know more about animals than he does. So I'm just like, just leave him in the dark on that one because he's trying to be sweet.
Yeah. Right. Why ruin the illusion? What's it gonna do for him?
Hard to say. So I feel really bad because I was like, oh, like there are so many subjects that JoJo and I both know something about that we can like go back and forth, and this just turned into Kelsey tells you weird stories from the West Hour.
It started out as me tells you long, what's
Improv
word?
stories?
Yeah, no, yeah, that anecdote. I was gonna say long anecdotes about Saturday Night Live. No, it's like that's fine. Your thing is more personal to you and also crazy. What, man? That's I don't know anyone who's been attacked by an animal that I know of. Oh no, yeah, huh.
Yeah, I know. I know quite a few.
I mean, that's probably for the best that I don't know anyone who's been attacked by an animal. Uh,
Yeah, I also think it would take on
'Cause
a different vibe because it would have to be like a coyote or a raccoon or a possum or something like that, just based on kind of where you've lived in your life, or a rat. And
right,
that kind of attack is going to be probably a little bit more vicious. You're going to get a lot more bites and you're going to get a lot more diseases.
yeah. Yeah, yeah, I guess. Ooh, yeah.
Sorry, you realizing how gross that was really
Well,
funny.
no, just the idea, yeah, of being, like, attacked by a rat, that'd be fucked up. I don't know, there's
Are you aware of rat kings as a concept?
yeah, it was in some Terry Pratchett book I read or something.
Somehow my husband didn't know those existed, and so we were talking about it last night, and it made him really uncomfortable, and he's like, "There's literally no way." And I'm like, "Here are pictures of rat kings. This is what they mean." And then I googled it, and he was like, "Rat kings are somehow weirdly like associated with Germany." And I could not find any reason whatsoever. Were you aware of that at all?
there's a link to Germany? No.
Yeah, there's some link between Germans and maybe not Germans, but Germany and
Yeah,
rat
right.
kings. My husband's like, are German rats' tails like longer and more thread-like? Like, what? How could this
Yeah, I
possibly
mean,
happen?
maybe that's where they first discovered the phenomenon? I don't know.
If you don't know what a rat king is, look it up. It's not going to horrify you like some things, but it's not a comfortable reality either. It's awkward. I don't think I'm going to put a picture of one up on the screen because it's not a good thing. Like it's kind of gross. But
Yeah.
it was one of those things that I didn't realize everybody didn't know, but it seemed like it would be more of a city phenomenon. And so I was surprised
Yeah.
that my very city folk husband was unaware.
Well, see, I think you're over Scott is a suburb folk.
That is true.
So,
Yes.
like, I've never seen a rat around here in Chicago proper, absolutely, but, like, yeah, yeah, I don't know if we had there probably are rats somewhere in this town, but I I've never seen one.
The difference between city folk and suburb folk is definitely gray area that country people are unaware of.
Yeah, right, it's just way more sanitized here.
That's true. Yeah, yeah, sanitized. There's been a lot of oh my gosh, I can't think of the word. The only word I'm getting is extractor and infiltrator, and both of those are wrong. Um, People that come through and remove bugs from your home.
Oh, exterminator?
Yes, thank you, God. That's
Yeah,
the word I was looking for. I was
yeah,
close with
no problem.
extractor, but I knew that wasn't it. You don't pay someone to extract the ants from your walls.
No, you pay them to murder the ants in your walls.
Exactly. Yes, with boric acid. Woohoo, let's go.
Actually, we pay, people to come and spray something along the edges of our property that keeps the ants from even walking on, I think.
Nice.
Yeah.
Creating a nice little force field around your house. I love it. It's genius.
Yes. It's great. I mean, I haven't seen an ant in a long time. It's great. I don't like bugs one bit, so,
That's fair.
yeah.
I love bugs, but I love bugs in where bugs should be.
In hell?
No, outside.
Oh, that's better than here. Than inside, sure, okay.
But you would prefer hell.
Yeah. Yeah, mostly. Yeah, so, like, a butterfly is fine if it stays a little bit away from me. A mantis is cool conceptually, as long as I don't have to touch it, but, like, all the rest can get out of here. I don't no, thank you.
Ugh. I I know someone who is like deathly like anxiety attack triggering afraid of butterflies, which
Oh,
is
no.
really unfortunate because her now husband, then boyfriend, one of their first dates was him taking her to a butterfly like sanctuary where you can walk through and they can land on you and stuff like that. You know those really romantic dates that is like a perfect idea? No. God, she was like sweating even walking in there, absolutely terrified, and he's unaware because he's just like, there's gonna be butterflies. It's gonna be great. And she's just having a panic attack behind him. They get in there, one lands on her arm, and she basically starts screaming bloody murder, hyperventilating, and like, just get me out, get me out, get me out. And he's like, what in the world did I do? And just how rare is it to be that afraid of butterflies? And then how unfortunate to have this guy like his entire first date with her ruined by this.
Oh, no. Yeah, that's a weird one to be afraid of, I feel like, but, I mean, both in theory, any of them are weird to be afraid of because they're tiny and not dangerous, I guess, but
But butterflies are often a
butterflies.
sign of like beauty,
Yeah,
and little girls in particular like were given a lot of butterfly things growing up, so to be
totally.
afraid of them is surprising.
Yeah, and I just wonder what the basis of that fear even is, like, I got beef with spiders because they could be anywhere at any time, and they could be in my mouth when I sleep or whatever, but, like, a butterfly is not in my house, so I know when I'm away from them.
And they're so delicate, like, you
Yeah,
breathe too hard on a butterfly and it falls apart.
yeah, that's interesting. I wonder how that even comes to happen.
I did ask her, and she's like, "I don't know. They're wrong. Everything about them is wrong. Their legs are wrong. Their wings are wrong. Their bodies are wrong, and they're wrong." And I'm like, "This is not connecting with the logical part of your brain. This is all emotion, and we're not going to be able to talk you out of it. I understand."
Yeah.
Like,
I mean, she's got a point. They are wrong. They're but, like, don't look too closely at them because they're still horrible bugs. Have nice looking wings.
I disagree. I think they're great, but I grew up outside.
Right. Sure. They're aesthetically, again, as long as you're not like microscoping up to see their thorax or whatever.
Yeah,
They're,
where it's
they're
covered in
fine.
weird hairs and everything, and you're just like, okay, this is less cute up close. That's fair.
Right.
Yeah.
Bugs should not have hair. I don't want to know that. I know that, but like I don't want to be able to
That's
see it.
uh-huh. That's fair. Yeah, I don't want to
Uh,
confront that reality.
right.
Well, on that absurd conversation, everybody, that's where we're going to leave it for today. I know you didn't get a lot of video game knowledge. Well, you know what? I talk about animals, so when Chris isn't here, this is what we talk about. If you enjoyed this conversation at all, please throw that down in the comments below because we would love to have you guys commenting. Like, we want more of Wildlife Hour with Kelsey and JoJo.
Sure.
That will vex the heck out of Chris, which will entertain the hell out of me and JoJo. So throw that down there. We also have Twitter or Twitch links if you would like to come and hang out with Chris or JoJo. Or I think you guys are the only ones. Or does James stream? Does James do
Great
anything?
question. I mean, I think only probably in relation to Chris, maybe.
I'm not
Yeah.
sure. But you know where you
Yeah.
could find out? In the links below. That
Right.
is where that
Yeah.
information is. We also have Twitter down there. We have a merch link down there, which is hugely helpful to us. And we will see you guys in the rest of our Dead Funny content. Bye, friends!